Welcome to Popternative, where we dive into topical discussions from the worlds of pop culture, social media, and sports. Here is your host, Peter Remoliotis, aka PD Beats.
Hello and welcome to the Popternative podcast. This is the podcast where we have digital discussions, the worlds of social media, TV, film, sports, everything really. As always, I'm your host, Peter Remoliotis. On Twitter, you know me as PD Beats. My guest is an actor who is on one of the biggest shows on the planet on Netflix, known as Stranger Things. He plays Mr. Clarke. We're with Randy Havens. Randy, welcome to Popternative.
Thanks, man. Glad to be here.
And I was telling you a story before we started, how shout out to my buddy Vikram. I was celebrating my birthday last night, and not knowing that you were going to be on the show got me the Hawkins 1983 Middle School AV Club mug.
Welcome to the AV Club, man.
Thank you. Thank you for having me in the AV Club, Mr. Clarke. I appreciate that. Storytellers. You were all storytellers, actors, writers, musicians. When did Randy Havens decide that he wanted to be a storyteller?
Wow, great question. I think I started being like a little, ham and performing for my family when I was just a little kid. So I guess it was all the way back then. I guess it's just in my blood or in my desperate need to be paid attention to.
Absolutely. Is there something that you liked about it the most? Was it kind of the idea of playing a fictional character and kind of putting your spin on him? Like, a lot of people have different reasons why they like acting and theater, right?
Yeah, I think initially it was just I liked the feeling of making people laugh.
Yeah, and I think that's important. And it's funny because Stranger Things has become one of the biggest shows in the world. It's a worldwide phenomenon. But what I find interesting is it seems like what ended up happening was we watched the first couple episodes of season 1 when it came out, and it just seemed like it instantly became a phenomenon. Did you feel that when you were kind of watching the show?
Yeah, I of course, the day it came out, I didn't stay up really late the night before because I was like, ooh, I could stay up till like whatever 3 a.m. or 4 a.m. whenever it gets released. And I was like, but then how many episodes could I watch? And I was like, no, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to go to sleep. I'm going to wake up at 9 a.m. and I'm just going to start watching it. So I woke up at 9, got some breakfast, started watching it, and just finished it all in one day, which a lot of people did as well. So just taking breaks for meals, and that was it. It was crazy because I was like, do I like this just because I'm in it? I was like, because this just seems like a really good show, and I'm kind of in love with this show. And then nope, it turns out that everyone loved it, and it just happened to be a really great show. I remember talking to my brother about it, and anytime like I would like pop back up on screen, he was like, "Oh right, my brother's in this." Like he wasn't even like he forgot about me entirely and was just like, "Whoa, this show's awesome." So
yeah. It's funny, too, because in TV and film, you have some of my favorite characters are what I call the kind of the voice of reason characters. And, in Boy Meets World, you had Mr. Feeney. In The Karate Kid, you had Mr. Miyagi. In Stranger Things, in season 1 and season 2, you have Mr. Clarke. Have you ever thought about that, about your character kind of being the voice of reason, kind of being the person that the kids look up to? Because I find those characters really important, man.
Yeah, totally. I think there's a few things at play, but definitely that one. Obviously I don't play him like that. That I don't think Mr. Clarke ever feels like that he's trying to like give advice. He's just trying to like connect, I think, with everyone on the show.
Mm-hmm.
And he definitely wants to be like, he kind of wants to like pal around. So like when they start talking about D&D and he gets into the D&D stuff and they just sort of go like, yeah, we know, whatever. We're trying to figure out how to get to another universe. And he just wants to, sort of pal around.
Was there something that you had to do specifically to prepare for that role? Was there something that is there anything that you could tell us about your preparation for Mr. Clarke when you first got found out that you had the role?
Yeah, sure. I don't want to give too much away, but yeah, there's definitely some stuff that I could talk about. I don't know science. I'm not that smart. So what I did was I was like, okay, and I was lucky enough to get the scripts for the first 6 episodes before we started shooting. So I was able to sort of like go along on Mr. Clarke's journey and sort of see what all happens. And we didn't get all the way up to the date, like when he's on the date when the girl's over and he's and Dustin calls him. So we didn't get quite that far. We got far enough to where he's at a funeral talking about all of these like sort of quantum physics theories and whatnot. And I was like, okay, all right, why would a person do this? Like, why would this character do this? And I was like, okay, so he wants to, he understand, or his idea in his mind is that they are in pain and they're looking for sort of a way to process it. And they're asking him about all these like scientific theories. And so it's like, okay, why would he do that? Well, because he cares about him. Why would he care about them so much? Well, because they remind him of him when he was their age. Yeah. And so I sort of like took that and I was like, okay, that's the kernel of this character. Like everything that he does is to make sure that these kids feel supported and just like, loved and supported. And he wants to give them sort of a safe place that they can like explore their nerdiness. And any way that he can do that, I feel like that's what he wants to do. So that was really like what I built everything around, and I guess it worked.
For sure, it worked, and there's many I think Stranger Things, there's many ingredients that are in the recipe of the success that Stranger Things has as a television show at this level. I think you can look at, paying homage, like the tribute or paying homage to the 80s and all those movies and the pop culture, but the ensemble cast, I think on like shows that have a lot of characters are the shows that are very popular right now. And there's also, the music, there's also kind of the look, what it looks like. There's so many things. For you, what do you think hits stride the most with the audience with Stranger Things? What do you think really connects them?
I think it's the storytelling. I really do. I think all of the other stuff is just sort of icing on the cake. I feel like the Duffers and the writing staff are so good at all of the things, right? Like all of the things that go together to make something work like this. So it's like, some filmmakers are really good at world building. Some filmmakers are really good at characters. Some are really good at plotting. I feel like the Duffers and their staff are like good at all of those things, and it's because those things like gel that we really like. We care. We A, care about the characters. B, we care about the story, and we buy into the world that they're in. Like all of those things, just there's like a synergy in the show that's just so amazing to me. And of course, also the Duffers are really good at putting together a great crew. So we've got the director of photography, the directors of photography are amazing. The costumers are amazing. Everything just works. Like the set deck is amazing. The location scouting is amazing. Like that, the building in season 1 and season 2, the Hawkins Light and Power building is such a creepy building. And like our location scout went out and found this super creepy building that is just like, wait, that's a real building. And it's like, of course there's like, they did some some post effects work around the exteriors of the building. But yeah, there's a building that literally looks like just a giant square covered in barbed wire, and it's like who can find that thing?
And technically, Stranger Things is like based on a true story, because I saw an interview that Joe Keery at Game Matarazzo did a while ago. It talked about how there was some kind of like lab in a small town that was doing some experiments or something like that. I don't know the full details, but there was something like that.
Yeah, it's sort of based around, or I guess their initial idea was based around like an urban legend about a military facility in a small town.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't, I don't believe a lot of urban legend / conspiracy theories. So
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how true it is, but but yeah, no, they definitely took that kernel and were like, what would it be like if, like a small town were to like confront.
You mentioned the storytelling, and it is powerful, but we have to kind of give it up also for the cast and crew, like the people, like
Yeah.
everyone involved on the show is just fantastic. The developments have been amazing of the characters as well.
Yeah, I can't believe I didn't mention the casting and obviously the cast is really great, and I'm really lucky to be included in such an amazing cast, and yeah, shouts out Carmen Cuba, who put together such a great cast.
And it's funny because we are in the golden age of television, Randy. We are. It's an amazing time for television. And I find what ends up happening is when certain shows, get released and people could watch them and binge them, it becomes an event. Like July, when season 3 comes out for Stranger Things, it's going to be an event. It's going to be insane.
I know. And this is probably the last time that this is going to happen. Like we've got, a couple of great shows that are airing right now. And it's like, wow, when these shows are done, like, what are we going to do? Like, there's so many amazing shows on television. It's crazy to be involved in one that gets so many people watching it.
Mm-hmm.
Like I remember when it first came out, I was like, and it got a lot of attention. Like, like I was just sort of watching social media and going like, wow, this thing is really blowing up. That I was like, yeah, but BoJack Horseman comes out next week, and so we're going to be done by then. And it just wasn't the case. Like that's normally what it is, right? It's like people watch a show for a week and then they're like, okay, we're done with this, and like Stranger Things just like kept going and kept going and kept going. Like
like. Sorry.
Go ahead.
No, sorry.
Yeah, just everybody was telling their friends about it, and everybody was watching it, and like it became part of the zeitgeist almost immediately. And it was like, if you haven't seen this show, like you're missing out. Like you don't like, you're missing out on part of like a sort of international conversation that's happening, which is a really special thing to be in part of.
It's gonna take over the summer. I know. I'm sure of it. It's gonna take over the summer. It's gonna be amazing. I want to talk about you specifically, your character, and the fan reception, because the social media is a double-edged sword. There's some good things and bad things about it, but one of the good things is you're kind of able to interact with fans, develop kind of a fan base for yourself, go to all these conventions, because you do some conventions from time to time. Talk a little bit about that aspect, the fan reception of Mr. Clarke, and because that's been amazing.
Yeah, no, it's super fun to be able to interact with fans of the show and of my character, and obviously I'm not, or maybe not obviously, I'm not like my character. I'm not the sweetest, most innocent person in the world. But it is really fun to play, and it's also fun to meet the fans, and they're great. They're really cool. And yeah, I think my first convention was just I think 2 months after the show came out, and I was sitting next to Shannon Purser, and so we were both just sort of looking at each other going, isn't this crazy? and you know, like I've been an actor for 15 years, so like, and Shannon, I think this was her first paid gig, and you know, we're just sort of looking at each other, going, "This is crazy." And so for her to like, for us to both be like, "No, this is crazy." Like, you know, I've been doing this for a long time. This is the first thing that I've done that anyone's ever watched. And you know, we just keep looking back and forth at each other because kids are coming up and like freaking out and like and like fanboying out. And I remember I had a young lady come up and start crying, and I just like sort of like looked at the person that was working with me, and I was just like, what is going on? Like, this is crazy. And I just sort of went like, you know, come around the table, like gave the girl a hug, and I'm like, hey, like, it's cool. I'm just an old person. Like, I'm really not special. I just happen to luck into being on this show. And 2 months ago, you had no idea who I was. So like, don't even like, there's no reason to cry. I can assure you. And obviously it's just because they get overwhelmed because they're seeing like, you know, a character from one of their favorite shows.
Hey man, it's an escape, man. Pop culture is huge right now. It's a boom. Yeah. People are using it as an escape. I mean, there's been a pop culture boom.
What's that?
There's been a pop culture boom in the last 3 years, I find. Like, it's been insane.
Yeah. I think we need a little bit of an escape sometimes.
Absolutely. I think, Randy, we'll wrap up. But thank you so much for coming on the show, man.
Absolutely, my pleasure. Really fun talking to you.
No, absolutely. Where can people follow you on social media? You know, the floor is yours now to plug away. Where can they follow you? What should they be checking out? Plug away.
Yeah, great. I'm on the Twits and the Instas. It's Mr. Randy Havens, all one word. Or you can just search Randy Havens. You'll find me. I've got the check marks. You know, if it's verified, it's me. If it's not, don't click any of those links.
The check marks are important. I have the check mark on Twitter, but I do not have it on Instagram yet. So Instagram needs to hook me up with that.
It's true story.
But seriously, man, thank you so much, and all the best.
Absolutely. My pleasure. Thank you.
No problem. Well, this has been Popternative, youtube.com/Popternative for previous episodes. And until next time, this is Randy Havens and PD Beats signing off.
Thank you for tuning in to Popternative. Make sure to check out our past episodes of Popternative on YouTube. Be sure to like Popternative on Facebook and follow us on Twitter.
This has been an Autograph Communications production.